Hey, everybody, welcome to my booth. I'm Jay, and we're about to listen to a sample from Emily, looking to improve her recording space specifically for audiobooks as she's starting out. So, if you're somebody starting and you want to know different ways to improve your recording audio quality, stick around. We'll talk about that. But if you'd like me to review your audio just like this and give you feedback like this or any of the other subscriber feedback videos, send me something. There's a form in the description. It's free. If you want to get your feedback faster, you can either go to my website for one-on-one coaching or check out the Booth Buddies here. It's the channel membership, gives you priority access to feedback like this. Otherwise, hey, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for being a part of this. Emily, let's dive in. So a few things before we talk about the specifics here for everybody else. Emily, at the time of this recording, per her note, was expecting a very nice Rode NT 1/5 generation, my preferred starting microphone. It's awesome, as well as a Focusrite Scarlett Solo interface, both great setups if you're starting out. And this sample was recorded on her phone just to get a sense of how her space is sounding. So all that is to say, there are a couple of things that are important to recognize as you're starting out. Different microphones have different goals in mind, and the microphones in phones are different. And because they're designed to pick up just your voice, and that's about it. They want to reject as much information that isn't your voice as possible. And I don't know the specifics of their engineering, but they're not as clinical or indiscriminate or just gathering as much info as possible as, say, a Rode NT1. So, a lot of the feedback that we could give about Emily's space would probably be better left until after she or you, Emily, get your microphone all set up, because that will give you more information about like the room treatment and things like that, because foam microphones tend to reject stuff like that. Case in point, if I were to go out into my living room here, but I were to just be talking on my phone and do an A/B between inside my booth and outside my booth, you'd probably hear a difference, but it wouldn't be dramatic. But if I took this microphone and took it out of my booth versus in my booth, it would be a really dramatic difference. We would be able to hear the sound bouncing off of any untreated walls, the floor, the ceiling, which isn't bad at face value, but for a voiceover recording situation, it's not ideal. All to say, we won't be able to diagnose any of that sort of stuff, but I'll refer you to some materials that I have on this channel and generally that can help you there. But let's take a listen and see what we've got going on to start with.
On the first day of kindness, Bunny hopped through the snowy meadow, her nose twitching in the frosty air. She spotted deer standing quietly beneath a bare tree.
Okay. So we've got a lot of information already to start with. One thing first, I love your use of twitched in this phrase.
Her nose twitching in
Twitching, excuse me. Any opportunity as a narrator personally, and just a general thing that I enjoy, if people can use words like twitching and make it very visceral or even onomatopoeic almost, where you feel the way the twitching works.
twitching.
You just get the sense of that. And I think that that's a really good touch. Okay, so talking about audio quality here, my whole preamble aside, the biggest thing that you're fighting is just your background noise at the moment. If we isolate just this little bit and loop it, you can hear that there's sort of that HVAC humming in the background. And particularly when you get your Rode microphone, this sound will be really challenging to work with or around. And for a lot of audiobooks, that would be more or less unacceptable. The good news is we know exactly what it is, and it should be fairly easy for you to track down. And you'll just want to turn whatever that is off, and you'll be good to go. If you don't have the ability to turn it off, I would recommend moving your booth somewhere else if you're able to, because that just will pose a lot of problems for you down the line. Um, so whatever that is, just turn it off or while you're recording, or you got it. The other thing you can do, microphones have, or condenser microphones have, all microphones do. They have what's called a polar pattern or a pickup pattern, which means they're most sensitive in certain ways depending on the microphone you're using. The one you'll have, the Rode NT1, is similar to this one here in that it is a cardioid microphone. So you can see here it's got this symbol on it, which is more or less the shape of the polar pattern for this microphone. It's kind of like a bulb heart shape right on the front. Cardioid, cardio, cardiac, heart, you know. And you can use that to your advantage. Because it's sensitive here, it's not as sensitive back here. For example, if I turn my microphone away from myself, you notice that it gets really quiet all of a sudden and my voice gets all funky. But if I turn it on back, I'm back. And you can use that to your advantage in a space that isn't perhaps as well treated as, say, or well isolated, I should say, as my booth here. And if you point that dead area of your microphone or the back of it towards whatever sounds you may be picking up, like that HVAC sound, that can help to reject it from your recordings. Additionally, you can use that back section and point that at the weakest area of your booth. So, for example, my original booth here in this apartment was just in my closet, and I had 3 solid walls and then a door. The door was much less well isolating. It allowed sound to pass through it more so than the walls did. So I angled the microphone so that the back was more towards the door, which helped a little bit, not in a super dramatic way where all of a sudden my world was much different, but it helped a little bit in isolating that sound. So those are 2 things you can do. 1, just turn off that HVAC sound, and 2, use the dead zone of your microphone to your advantage. The other thing you can do once you get your microphone, I use the rubber ball and metal ball test. I have other videos on it here on this channel, but the abbreviated version is if you imagine yourself in your booth holding come on now. If you imagine yourself holding a little rubber ball that can bounce infinitely, it never loses energy. You can look around your space and imagine tossing it at things and watching where that little ball bounces. If there's an area in your booth where it's bouncing a lot, you can bet that that's where sound is going to bounce a lot. Essentially, anywhere that the ball bounces, sound will also reflect off of. So here in my booth, this glass door, sound is going to bounce off of that. So I've angled my microphone away from it towards this really dead corner back here. Uh, and in your booth, it's a similar thing. If there's an area where it's going to bounce, the bouncy ball is going to bounce, sound's going to bounce there. It doesn't have to be completely dead, but it's helpful to visualize there. Yeah, let's just listen to a little bit more.
The snow had buried the grass, and there was nothing left for him to eat. Bunny's heart ached when she saw his tired eyes. She thought of the carrots tucked safely in her burrow.
So I really like this is a tricky thing because there are a lot of instances where stories similar to this really benefit from that sort of sleepy story tone, particularly if it's an actual sleep story. The danger or trap we can fall into is that it starts to become just a wash of that sleepy tone, which sometimes is the intent for sleep stories and things like that. But if this were to be a book for children, that we'd want to have a little bit, or I'm assuming it's for children given the nature of the language, but perhaps it's not. But if we want it to be engaging with the listener, to have it have that sort of relaxed tone does not necessarily mean that it has to uh, have that it can't be engaging as well. Um, I'm saying this poorly because it is still engaging, but I think we're edging into listening to or performing it so that it's a lot like this, and it doesn't necessarily have ideas or imaginings attached to. Unlike your use of twitched here, the twitched is very felt and very expressive, but this section here.
The snow had buried the grass, and there was nothing left for him to eat.
Maybe another way to say it or to describe it is it's tempting to enter into this space, but we can say it another way that is a little bit less um, the same note through the entire performance. So let me listen to that again.
The snow had buried the grass, and there was nothing left for him to eat.
So the snow had buried the grass and there was nothing left for him to eat. There are a couple of things here. One, that's a problem for our bunny friend here. Uh, but we don't have to. So there's just like a little bit of emotion attached there, but you don't have to make it super dramatic. The snow had buried the grass and there was nothing left for him to eat. That's not necessarily what we want to do, but you could. There's sort of, if those are the opposite ends of the spectrum, one is that it's kind of just this tone that we're going with, and the other is a hyperdramatic reading. If that's the spectrum, we can kind of play around in the middle somewhere, or play around with where we want to put it. The snow had buried the grass, and there was nothing left for him to eat. So it's not a huge adjustment, but just a little bit more of a investment or attachment, or I don't know. Let me know if that makes sense. I feel like I'm spinning my wheels a bit, but essentially staying away from just the tone wash and making sure that we're still engaging with it in a way is a really helpful thing to go about it. Hope this is helpful for you, Emily. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope the road is treating you well in your space there. And for everybody else, until the next one of these, be well, and I'll see you there. Toodles.